comment? You're going to make me, you want me to make a comment while you read?
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing with our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're now on the 7th canto, chapter 5, Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, with His Holiness Kesava Bharati Maharaj.
This is you.
Friends from all over, we invite you to write in your comments.
Srila Prabhupada said, the test of your love for me is how well you cooperate together to keep these reading sessions together. No. Okay. Text 16, chapter 5. Oh, please bring me a stick. This blood is damaging our name and fame. Because of his bad intelligence, he has become like a cinder in the dynasty of the demons. Oops. Now he needs to be treated by the fourth of the four kinds of political diplomacy. Purport. In political affairs, when a person disobediently agitates against the government, four principles are used to suppress him. Legal orders, pacification, the offer of a post, or finally weapons. When there are no other arguments, he is punished. In logic, this is called argumentum ad baculum. When the two seminal brahmanas, Shanda and Amarka, failed to extract from Prahlad Maharaj the cause for his having opinions different from those of his father, they called for a stick with which to chastise him to satisfy their master, Hiranyakashipu. Because Prahlad had become a devotee, they considered him to be contaminated by bad intelligence and to be the worst descendant in the family of demons. As it is said, where ignorance is bliss, it is folly to be wise. In a society or family in which everyone is a demon, for someone to become a Vaishnava is certainly folly. Thus Prahlad Maharaj was charged with bad intelligence because he was among demons, including his teachers, who were supposedly brahmanas. The members of our Krishna consciousness movement are in a position similar to that of Prahlad Maharaj. All over the world, 99% of the people are godless demons. Preaching of Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, is always hampered by many impediments. Because of their fault of being devotees, the American boys who have sacrificed everything for preaching Krishna consciousness are charged with being members of the CIA. Moreover, the seminal brahmanas of India, who say that one can become a brahmana only if born in a brahmana family, charge us with ruining the Hindu system of religion. Of course, the fact is that one becomes a brahmana by qualification. Because we are training Europeans and Americans to become qualified and are awarding them Brahminical status, we are being charged with destroying the Hindu religion. Nonetheless, confronting all kinds of difficulties, we must spread the Krishna consciousness movement with great determination, like that of Prahlad Maharaj. In spite of being the son of the demon Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad never feared the chastisements of the seminal Brahmana sons of a demoniac father. 17. This rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandalwood trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of demons, and this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. Purport. Thorn trees generally grow in deserted places, not in sandalwood forests. But the seminal Brahmanas Shanda and Amarka compared the dynasty of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu to a sandalwood forest, and compared Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide the handle of an axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut down a thorn tree. It needs a handle, which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. Thus the thorn tree of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces by the axe of Vishnu Bhakti, devotional service to Lord Krishna. Huh?
Isn't the example being given that the thorn tree becomes the thorn tree provides the handle to cut down sandalwood trees? So why would it say an axe alone?
I think what it's talking about is you got to cut down the thorn tree to get the handle for the axe.
Well, then how does that sentence make sense? An axe alone cannot cut a thorn tree. It needs a handle which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. It's circular logic.
Could be.
Maybe they're just saying the axe is the metal part. They can't cut it down without the handle.
That is what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. I'm going to read it again, based on now that you put that in your mind. Let me read it again. Thorn trees generally grow in deserted places, not in sandalwood forests. But the seminal Brahmanas, Shanda and Amarka, compared the dynasty of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu to a sandalwood forest, and compared Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide the handle of an axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut a thorn tree. It needs a handle, which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. No, this means that a thorn. This means they're talking about cutting down Prahlad. They're talking about he's not in the sandalwood tree. He's the thorn. Prahlad Maharaj is the thorn tree. Yeah. No, he's all. You need to cut down. He needs to cut down Prahlad. He's thorn tree. He's not in the sandalwood forest. The Hiranyakashipu is the sandalwood forest. Yeah, but here this part is right. This part is right. Hiranya.
It's hard to hear you for some reason.
I got it right next to my mouth.
It's not necessarily right next to it. It's the flat part has to be close to where the sound's coming in because it's directional.
But how do you make it do that?
You have to feel it with your thumb and point the flat part towards where you're speaking.
Really?
I don't see anything close. Are you hearing okay when he's speaking? No problem at all. Of course, you're closer to the speaker. But I just wanted to make sure everyone can hear fine. Go ahead, Marge. Sorry.
I'm going to read it again. Thorn trees generally grow in deserted places, not in sandalwood forests. But the seminal Brahmanas, Shanda and Amarka, compared the dynasty of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu to a sandalwood forest, and compared Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide the handle of an axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut down a thorn tree. It needs a handle which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. Thus the thorn tree of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces by the axe of Vishnu Bhakti, devotional service to Lord Krishna. Some of the members of the demoniac civilization, like Prahlad Maharaj, may become the handle for the axe to assist Lord Vishnu, and thus the entire forest of demonic civilization can be cut to pieces. I mean, it may be Arsha, what is that term? Arsha Prayoga. It might be like that. That might be why they didn't change it. You know? Yeah. 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 That's probably, yeah. Yes, sir.
It could simply mean that demonic civilization is actually a thorn tree, civilization of thorn trees. But the demons consider it like sandalwood trees. It could actually mean that demonic civilization is actually a forest of thorn trees, but demons consider it to be like sandalwood trees. So then there would be no contradiction.
I think it's something like that. That's why I read it when I first read it. But anyway, let's move on, because the idea is right. Yeah, we got the idea. Text 18. Shanda and Amarka, the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, chastised and threatened their disciple in various ways and began teaching him about the paths of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. This is the way they educated him. Purport. In this verse, the words praradham grahayam asa are important. The words grahayam asa literally mean that they tried to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the paths of dharma, artha, and kama, religion, economic development, and sense gratification. People are generally preoccupied with these three concerns without interest in the path of liberation. Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, was simply interested in gold and sense enjoyment. The word Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to soft cushions and bedding on which people enjoy sense gratification. The word Prahlad, however, refers to one who is always joyful in understanding Brahman, Brahmabhuta, Prasanatma. Prahlad means Prasanatma, always joyful. Prahlad was always joyful in worshipping the Lord, but in accordance with the instructions of Hiranyakashipu, the teachers were interested in teaching him about material things. Materialistic persons think that the path of religion is meant for improving their material conditions. The materialist goes to a temple to worship many varieties of demigods, just to receive some benediction to improve his material life. He goes to a sadhu, or so-called swami, to take advantage of an easy method for achieving material opulence. In the name of religion, the so-called sadhus try to satisfy the senses of the materialists by showing them shortcuts to material opulence. Sometimes they give some talisman or blessing. Sometimes they attract materialistic persons by producing gold. Then they declare themselves God, and foolish materialists are attracted to them for economic development. As a result of this process of cheating, others are reluctant to accept the religious process, and instead they advise people in general to work for material advancement. This is going on all over the world. Not only now, but since time immemorial. No one is interested in moksha, liberation. There are four principles: dharma, religion; artha, economic development; kama, sense gratification; and moksha, liberation. People accept religion to become materially opulent. And why should one be materially opulent? For sense gratification. Thus people prefer these three margas, or the three paths of materialistic life. No one is interested in liberation, and Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord, is above even liberation. Therefore the process of devotional service, Krishna consciousness, is extremely difficult to understand. This will be explained later by Prahlad Maharaj. The teachers, Shanda and Amarka, tried to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the materialistic way of life, but actually their attempt was a failure. text 19. After some time, the teachers Shanda and Amarka thought that Prahlad Maharaj was sufficiently educated in the diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in cases of disobedience. Then one day, after Prahlad's mother had personally washed the boy and dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, they presented him before his father. Purport. It is essential for a student who is going to be a ruler or king to learn the 4 diplomatic principles. There is always rivalry between a king and his citizens. Therefore, when a citizen agitates the public against the king, the duty of the king is to call him and try to pacify him with sweet words, saying, "You are very important to the state, in the state. Why should you disturb the public with some new cause for agitation? Why should, if the criticism is not pacified, if the citizen is not pacified, the king should then offer him some lucrative post as a governor or minister, any post that draws a high salary, so that he may be agreeable. If the enemy still goes on agitating the public, the king should try to create dissension in the enemy's camp. But if he still continues, the king should employ argumentum ad baculum, severe punishment, by putting him in jail or placing him before a firing squad. The teachers appointed by Hiranyakashipu taught Prahlad Maharaj how to be a diplomat so that he could rule over the citizens very nicely. Text 20. When Hiranyakashipu saw that his child had fallen at his feet and was offering obeisances as an affectionate father, he immediately began showering blessings upon the child and embracing him with both arms. A father naturally feels happy to embrace his son, and Hiranyakashipu became very happy in this way.
Narada Muni continued, "My dear King Yudhishthira, Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad Maharaj in his lap and began smelling his head. With affectionate tears gliding down from his eyes and moistening the child's smiling face, he spoke to his son as follows. Purport: if a child or disciple falls at the feet of the father or spiritual master, the superior responds by smelling the head of the subordinate. Hiranyakashipu said, "My dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Now please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge." Purport: in this verse, Hiranyakashipu inquires from his son what he has learned from his guru. Prahlad Maharaj's gurus were of 2 kinds. Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, in the seminal disciplic succession, were the gurus appointed by his father. But his other guru was the exalted Narada Muni, who had instructed Prahlad when Prahlad was within the womb of his mother. Prahlad Maharaj responded to the inquiry of his father with the instructions he had received from his spiritual master Narada. Thus there was again a difference of opinion, because Prahlad Maharaj wanted to relate the best thing he had learned from his spiritual master, whereas Hiranyakashipu expected to hear about the politics and diplomacy Prahlad had learned from Shanda and Amarka. Now the dissension between the father and the son became increasingly intense, as Prahlad Maharaj began to say what he had learned from his guru Narada Muni. Shriparad uvacha Shravanam kirtanam Vishno smaranam padasevanam archanam bandhanam dasyam sakyamatma nivedanam iti pumsarpita Vishnau bhaktishchenna vilakshana kriyeta bhagavatyada tanmanye ditamutamam. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Purport. When Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father to say something from whatever he had learned, he considered that what he had learned from his spiritual master was the best of all teachings, whereas what he had learned about diplomacy from his material teachers, Shanda and Amarka, was useless. Bhakti parushanubhavo viraktiranyatrat cha. This is the symptom of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is interested only in devotional service, not in material affairs. To execute devotional service, one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna or Lord Vishnu. The process of temple worship is called archana. How to perform archana will be explained herein. One should have complete faith in the words of Krishna, who says that he is the great well-wishing friend of everyone, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. A devotee considers Krishna the only friend. This is called Sakyam. Pumsarpita Vishnau. The word Pumsa means by all living entities. There are no distinctions permitting only a man or only a brahmana to offer devotional service to the Lord. Everyone can do this, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Striyo Vaishyas tata Shudras tepiyanti paramgatim. Although women, Vaishyas, and Shudras are considered less intelligent, they also can become devotees and return home back to Godhead. After performing sacrifices, sometimes a person engaged in fruitive activity customarily offers the results to Vishnu. But here it is said, Bhagavat Yada. One must directly offer everything to Vishnu. This is called sannyas, not merely nyas. A tridandi sannyasi carries 3 dandas, signifying kaya, mano, vakya, body, mind, and words. All of these should be offered to Vishnu, and then one can begin devotional service. Fruitive workers first perform some pious activities and then formally or officially offer the results to Vishnu. The real devotee, however, first offers his surrender to Krishna with his body, mind, and words, and then uses his body, mind, and words for the service of Krishna as Krishna desires. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following explanation in his Tatya. The word Shravana refers to giving oral reception to the holy name and descriptions of the Lord's form, qualities, entourage, and pastimes as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and similar authorized scriptures. After orally receiving such messages, one should memorize these vibrations and repeat them, kirtanam. Smaranam means trying to understand more and more about the Supreme Lord, and padasevanam means engaging oneself in serving the lotus feet of the Lord according to the time and circumstances. Archana means worshipping Lord Vishnu as one does in the temple, and Vandana means offering respectful obeisances. Manmana pavamat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Vandana means namaskuru, offering obeisances or offering prayers. Thinking oneself to be Nitya Krishna Das, everlastingly a servant of Krishna, is called dasyam, and sakyam means being a well-wisher of Krishna. Krishna wants everyone to surrender unto him because everyone is constitutionally his servant. Therefore, as a sincere friend of Krishna,